Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. Once again, I'm here at the Bass Hole on fabulous Bethel Island with Rob Cloutier. Rob is the proprietor out here. Rob's not only the proprietor, but he is a top-notch tournament fisherman. So we've got some baits, and we're going to be talking about baits that are coming in. What's that smile about, Rob?
Not top-notch.
Top-notch.
I show up to them, but I don't do good at them.
Rob shows up to a lot of tournaments, and he's believe me, I've been in your garage. I've seen that you have the ability to win tournaments now and then.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
But few and far between. But anyways, we're here talking about baits for late summer, early fall.
Yeah, and we've done this before. And one of the things that I'd like to do is not only talk about the baits, but we're going to talk about late summer baits. And I'd like to touch on why you need all these baits and why you have to kind of evolve through the summer months, through the winter months. We're talking about, early summer to late summer to winter, winter to fall, so on and so forth. And I'll be asking you some questions on how to make logical, informed decisions, not only when you're buying baits, but when you're out on your boat switching baits, and especially for the anglers out there who are just being introduced to bass fishing. You know, it's not a good deal when you go out with a tackle box full of nice baits, but you don't know which one to pick. Let's break it into three sections. Number one, baits that you would suggest to a person coming out on the weekend and wants to catch as many fish as he can. May not be a tournament fisherman. He wants to catch fish from 1 to 2.5 pounds, maybe get lucky and get a bigger one here on the Delta, but that'll be the first kind of bait that we talk about. The next bait will be, if you are a tournament angler, you want to catch 5 big fish and win the tournament, what bait would you pull out, or what number of baits would you pull out? And last but not least, if you're a headhunter out here, you just told me a guy picked up a double digit a couple days ago or something. Yeah. There are still plenty of double digits out here. What bait do you use when you're looking for that one big fish? I don't care about winning a tournament. I want to come out and catch the biggest fish in my life.
Yep.
So let's start off with a couple of baits you might suggest to catch fish, 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pound, many fish as you can catch. You got 1 or 2 baits. What are you looking at?
So we'll start out with that average guy showing up that Saturday, Sunday fishing. Maybe you got Monday off work. You just want to go out and catch numbers. Mm-hmm. Obviously the first thing on my deck when I take out the kids or anything like that, I'm going to have some kind of soft plastic, whether it be a robo worm or a Senko. 6-inch Senko is typically what we're throwing, black and blue, or a robo worm. It's going to put the numbers in the boat. It's going to put size in the boat every once in a while, but the numbers are going to be there. Everybody's going to have fun. You're going to catch fish throughout the day. And I typically stick with 3 baits when I'm doing this right here. 3 of them are robo worm. One's made by Missile, but the robo worm, the 6-inch fat MM3, everybody knows about it. It's no secret. It puts fish in the boat. Mm-hmm. The fish can't resist it. Between Margarita Mutilator, MM3, and Oxblood, those 3 are my favorite. In the fats right there, I typically only throw the fats. I just like the bigger style worm.
5 or 6 inch?
Only 6-inch in that
6
right
inch,
there.
okay.
Yep. So, and I also do throw that 7-inch too. I will throw that 7-inch Margarita Mutilator. Again, no secret to anybody. Also black grape. I just like the purples out here for some reason. That purple stands out and the fish like it.
And it's good. That bait will catch fish. That color will catch fish in any body of water.
Yes, correct. So also we have the Missile robo worm, their version of it right there, and this is Ed's Orange. I've been digging this Ed's Orange for some reason. I've been catching numbers and size on this color. I don't know if it's the color, but I like it. I've been catching bigger fish on it. I will have this on my deck when I'm fishing a tournament and I pull up to that one spot. I'm like, man, I bet you there's a big one there, and I'll fire that in there, and typically she'll get it. Between that 7-inch and that guy and that Margarita Mutilator and that Ed's Orange are my typical go-tos right there.
And if they're not familiar with the Ed's Orange, it's kind of almost like an Oxblood.
Yeah, it's very much similar to Oxblood, mm-hmm. But just an orange, good color. But those plastics right there and a Senko, you're going to put the numbers in the boat.
Are you drop shotting those all the time, or are you throwing them wacky, or possibly are you using just a small T-rig setup?
So I typically will only drop shot with these worms right here, and I'm using a 3/0 Gamakatsu hook and a 3/16 teardrop tungsten weight, and that's it. And I'm 20-pound braid to 15-pound fluorocarbon leader.
And are you primarily throwing those on conventional gear or spinning?
Spinning.
Spinning
If
rods.
I will throw a conventional in the springtime when those big girls are up, and I'll throw that 7-inch around a lot, and I'll only have 17-pound fluorocarbon on that, and no braid to leader, nothing. We're straight up.
You go straight. 'Cause that's what I wanted to ask you, because I always use a probably 30-pound braid and a leader, a top shot on the bottom, 17, 18 pounds.
Yep.
But you go straight fluoro.
Straight fluoro, 17 all the way down. And
Okay.
that's on a bait caster.
And why do you like that?
Because in the springtime, you hook into those bigger fish, and it's just an easier way to fight them. We get in that spinning reel, and we're high up, and we're pulling drag. I lose big fish like that. They jump, and they do that head shake, and they don't. That weight knocks it out with the spin. I don't know what's going on with it. I've lost a few key fish with it, so I switched over to that heavy gear, and I just wrench it to them and just get them in the boat.
And just drag all the way down.
All the way down.
swing
Yeah, we're on a 7.6 flipping rod, so we're more flipping, but we're still casting and working it back like a drop shot.
I also see in this kind of line here with our baits to pick up fish, is that a new style jerk bait you have? Are you throwing jerk baits this time of year?
So now as we're transitioning into that late fall or late summer, early fall, we're seeing a lot of those little silver, long, schooly fish that are all over the place right now.
What are those?
I'm not 100% sure what they are. They're everywhere. The striper are having at them. The bass are having at them. The bluegill, the warmouth are having at them. So again, back to that numbers thing. We're talking numbers. You go out there and you throw these rip baits right here. One is a Rapala. The color right here matches up perfect with what's out here on the river, as well as this G-Rat right here. Just G-Rat is the ghost shad. Smaller profile, a little bit harder twitching, where this guy's a little bit more fast twitching. But between those two, or any style rip bait in that bait fish pattern, is, in my opinion, is going to catch the numbers right now, and as well as those bigger fish too. Occasionally, as we get later into this or earlier into this fall, when they're really keying in on the bait fish and they're really trying to fatten up for the winter time.
Okay, another question for you. Those are, it looks like a 3.5 and a 4-inch bait. Most of the baits out there that I'm seeing, or the baits, the fry, the small shad, whatever's out there, they're between about an inch and a half to 2 inches. But you're throwing the bigger baits to represent any small bait fish.
Yeah, I typically think that they're just, and I'm not really doing what everybody's the twitch sit. I'm running this thing fast. We're rich as fast as we can, because I just want that reaction. I don't want them to look at it and be like, that's too big, it's not what I'm eating. I want them to see that silver or white flash and be like, there's that school I was munching on earlier. I'm gonna get to those guys, and then they'll come out and smack it. So I really work it a lot faster than I would. Now again, back into the winter time, I will not work it that fast. It's gonna be a twitch, sit, hang out. But now with this warmer water, warmer temps, these fish want to move. They want to fatten up for the wintertime. They know it's coming. They will attack that. They will hit that as well. Yep.
Is there any certain place you like to throw those? And again, when you're reeling those in, do you reel them in from start to finish, blah, blah, blah? Are you stopping them, starting them?
So we're just constantly twitching. I want that thing to chop more than anything. Almost like I'm fishing my glide baits.
So a pure reaction bait.
Yes, it's going to be constantly moving.
You're either going to hit it or you're not going to hit it, or
correct.
I'm moving on.
I'm not going to give them a chance to sit there and stare at it. I just want them to see that flash and attack it.
Good.
And I typically throw it on the out. Let's say I fish a lot of Mildred, Mandeville, Little Mandeville, and those on an outgoing tide, when that water's ripping out of there, those bigger fish will sit on that edge right there, and that's when I'm ripping that bait out of there, because it looks like the bait fish coming out of there. If you go into Little Mandeville right now and you fish the openings, you'll see there's millions of bait fish, and they're about that big, and you'll see a bunch of big bass swimming around there as well. I'm trying to get those guys triggered up to think that there's something going on with that fish, and that they want to eat it because it's an easy prey.
So you've got these two baits, and I'm taking for granted this is more of a searching bait.
Yep.
If you see fish flashing at this, if you're picking up a few small fish, or you get into an area where you just feel there's more activity, is that when you go to the slower robo-worm or whatever and try to soak it in that same area, or how do you use these baits in conjunction?
Now typically I'll come up here and I'll fire that robo-worm will be my search bait, right? So if I see that there's some little fish there, I might go out there and toss that guy around a couple times, maybe 4 or 5 casts. I won't really stick to it too much, but I'll do like 4 or 5 casts here and there at an opening to see if you get that bigger one to trigger.
And again, on these margarita mutilators or the robo worms. You're throwing it out, it gets to the bottom. Let's say you're in 8 feet of water. It takes 3 seconds to fall. It's dropped. You know that it's on the bottom. How long are you twitching it? And how aggressively are you twitching it? And how much action do you put on that thing? And how long do you leave it there?
Well, me, I can't sit still for more than 5 minutes, 5 seconds. So I can't really soak that bait that much. I'm typically get it out there, hop, 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 maybe 3 hops, and then I'm right back in and then to my next destination.
Good for you, because that sounds like me.
Yeah, it's either there's somebody there, there's nobody there, or I'm going too fast, I don't know. But when I'm catching them, when I do it, it's typically you fire that thing in there and you go to lift up, and you already know there's a fish on there.
Right.
You know, and that's when they're really keying in on it, they're really chewing it. They will find it. If the water is clean enough, they will find it. They'll come from 10, 15 feet away to come and eat that bait. They'll see it.
How important to you is the weight when you're using a drop shot? Because I'm going to get back to what you just said. When you throw it out there, you don't leave it very long, but you're using this as a search bait. And I think a lot of the searching potential of this is because you can throw it out, it's going right to the bottom, just like a punch bait, and they see it as it's coming down. If they see it coming down, it drops, they're going to hit it.
Yeah.
So how important is it? Do you want a slow fall, or do you want something that's going to get it down right to the bottom?
Now, again, factors are all everything in that right there, whether it be if it's really windy or a calm day. Typically that 3/16 or 5/16 is what I stick with.
Okay.
If it's super windy, I'll go up to that 5/16.
Yeah. Okay.
If it's calm, I'm in that 3/16. I kind of like it to go with the flow. Keep in mind, I'm drifting as I'm doing this thing, and I'm just firing it up on the bank, edges, whatever I see.
2 to 5 feet of water most
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
time.
There's a couple holes, deep holes that I really like to throw it in, but the typical stuff is that 3 to 6, 7 foot of water, and that's it.
So we're out there. We fished a half a day. We've caught plenty of fish. We want to get a few bigger fish, or we're not worried about 2-pound fish. We want to go out and catch a 5-fish limit that's going to win me a tournament. What are the baits you start looking for in that situation?
Well, right now, obviously, that chatterbait bite is really starting to pick up again with that bait fish. We've transitioned from that craw pattern, and as we get into that fall and we start seeing more and more bait fish and the shad come back in the system, we're gonna stick with that bait fish pattern. So my chatterbait goes bait fish, my trailer goes bait fish. I'm gonna have that on the deck for sure, as well as I'm always a big flipper, a big puncher. And again, we're still back with that craw pattern on that flipping and punching setup with a straight red in the missile, or with that green pumpkin and that orange in the Yamamoto baits right there. And as well as that flame orange and red. Any one of these 3 colors, as well as green pumpkin, are my typical go-tos right now in that early transition right there. Little secret for anybody that I like to give out there: if you're fishing a solid bait, meaning it's one color right there, like this missile, this is the Delta Red right here. I don't fish this on its own by itself. I feel like it's too red. There's nothing really natural about it. I will pair that up with a skirt. So if you guys are wondering how you guys pair up a skirt or anything like that, you can do it with any bait like that, but a typical solid bait, like a solid red, I will pair it up with that skirt right there. This is a Falcon Lake right there. It's got red and green. Just gives it a little bit more depth, because if you've ever seen a crawdad, I've never seen one that's true red.
Yeah.
And it just gives it a little bit something extra. It just gives it a little bit depth, you know what I'm saying? It's not a true one tone, and I think it really gets these fish to react a little bit more. They're more comfortable with eating it. If they see that solid color, they're like, that don't look natural. A lot of people punching, a lot of people flipping now, so they're getting more used to it.
Yeah.
But again, I'd have those on the deck with that chatterbait, and I'd also be throwing around that crankbait right there. We have these new hybrid Hunter Juniors right here, and I have a shad pattern right here, as well as a craw pattern.
And those are Strike King?
These are Strike King right here. This is a hybrid Hunter Junior. So this guy's going to run really, really shallow.
And these are for big fish? These are a big fish bait?
If I'm tournament fishing coming up right now, I will have that crankbait on there. And between these two right here, they're going to tell me what they want. Either they want the bait fish or they want that craw pattern. So I'll kind of bounce around with these in the morning or my pre-fishing and kind of dial it in and see what they're really keying in on.
Again, you fishing these braid with leader or 17
15-pound fluorocarbon,
Okay.
7'6", 3-power rod, not a glass rod. You could throw a glass, whatever. Hey, that's your thing. There's nothing that says it's wrong with it or right with it. I like a 763. It's the junior crank rod by iRod Genesis 3.
And that's one that has some forgiveness to it, so you can you can swing them and they're going to stay pinned.
Yep, and I like that 7.6. It just gives me that extra castability, and then it has that softer tip, so when I swing back on those fish, it doesn't rip those treble hooks out.
When you're fishing the jigs, are you still throwing your baits with straight fluoro? I know when I'm more and more, I'm going straight braid with my jigs, because I figure I'm throwing them into heavy cover, especially the vegetation this time of year. I haven't seen a big difference in the bites.
I'm still straight braid on that.
Straight
straight braid on that.
Straight braid.
Straight braid. Yeah, there's no weak link. We're towing Jeeps out of the jungle, and I'm going to go straight chain to that Jeep. I'm not going to go chain with a little bit of rope, because you're going to have problems. You're going to lose that. It's just not going to come out of that jungle. Now, if we were at a lake where there's nothing around us, wide open, hey, all day, right? But here on the river, you're in the jungle. I'm prepared.
And you don't lose as much stuff.
Right.
The worst thing with straight braid, you're going to bend some hooks out.
Yeah, or you can't get it out. You got to cut the line. I've been there before.
Yeah, but you know what? That's cheaper than putting a hole in your boat.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I see some topwater baits here. Are these your big fish baits?
Yeah, so those are going back to that tournament. You want to talk about having tournament? That first thing in the morning right there, I'm throwing that topwater. This is the Strike King. I have the hard knock. I like this little one right here. And again, I'm going black because I like early morning, low light levels. I just like the dark silhouettes of it. Just the darker shadow. I feel like I catch better fish with it. If you have a hard time walking this bait right here, this smaller one, this bigger one right here, and you want to understand how these baits really walk, throw the bigger one, and it'll help you walk this bait a little bit better just because the profile of it, and then you can get into these smaller ones and know how to work that bait. I get a lot of people on my boat, I tell them to hook this up, throw it out there, and I watch them and they're having a hard time working this bait. This bait is made to go left, right, all the way back to the boat right there. Slack line, whip, 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 and that bait goes back and forth. This bigger profile will allow you to work that bait like it's supposed to be made. Or like it's supposed to be worked right there.
Are you throwing fluoro with those
no,
also? Okay,
we are also,
the
bigger boy, we're 65-pound braid. The smaller one, because I throw this on my popper rod as well, it's 50-pound braid. And I like it. I like that hard knock on the little dude, and then I like the standard on the big guy right there. This guy also a killer striper bait in the shad pattern, the white patterns. They can't resist that thing, but the bass love it as well too. The bigger profile tends to get that bigger bite. This will get the numbers as well as that bigger bite. And then we have a couple variations of it that I like to throw. I like that shower blow. If you don't know familiar with that shower blow, it's from Evergreen. Comes in a couple different sizes. There's that big size again, and now we're back to that bait fish pattern. So I might see some bass schooling up, and I'll have this tied off on the side of my boat right there, and I might see some fish busting over there. I'll pick this thing up real quick, fire it over there, pop, 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 pop. A little bit different walking than the Strike King Sexy Dog here. The shower blows that popper with a little bit of a side-to-side action right there, but that nose wants to stay up as it's walking left and right. Again, 65-pound braid, 50-pound braid. Awesome bait. Little trick, I take out that middle hook. I feel like you don't need it. 9 hooks on a bait. One of those hooks could easily go in your leg. I've had it happen before. I take out that center one, and then I replace the back one with a size bigger and the front one with a size smaller, just to kind of even it out and bring that back end up right there. Customizing the baits out of the package, great way to separate you from the guy in front of you who just takes it out of the package and ties it on. Again, I just take that hook out of the middle, downgrade the one up in the front, and then I upgrade to a bigger size on the back right there. Just gets it a little bit more buoyant in the back and lets it walk out a little bit faster. Also, when they grab the back, it's a better hook, and I go with the 3X and awesome bait right there.
Buzz baits, I know you didn't talk about, but you've got plenty of those in here.
Got plenty of those. I didn't really want to touch base on, we talk a lot about, when I come to the shop, we talk a lot about that spinner bait, that chatter bait, that buzz bait, the frog. I feel like we've done enough of those that we know about these already. You know, we want to keep talking about different stuff here, so we're bringing out some different stuff every video here. But getting, you know, of course that frog's always on the deck, the double buzz bait, always an option to get that bigger bite in that tournament right there. Those two great baits, but yeah, we know about them.
And we're talking about the baits, but I'm trying to ask Rob as much as I can so that when you guys come in here and you're maybe you come in here to buy a walking bait, but you know, we always buy 1 or 2 baits. think about what's already in your box and think about, is that bait going to replicate something I already have in there? And if that's a really confidence bait, maybe you can replicate it. But think about, well, I've got this bait that's a good walking bait, but I don't have anything that's maybe a slower moving walking bait that doesn't create as much splash. Talk to Rob, tell him what you have in your box, tell him what you're looking for, and that way when you go out there you can look, you can go through and make an educated guess on, hey, there's a bunch of wind, we got to be fishing fast. There's no wind at all. This play, the track's been getting hit heavy. They've seen everything. I need to fish something a little different. So think about that when you come into Rob's shop and talk to Rob. Let him know what you have and let him know what you're looking for. So with that, we've got the drop shot type stuff. Caught a lot of fish. Maybe you're a tournament guy. You've won a couple of tournaments. You say, I want to get an 8, 9, 10, 12 pound fish. What are the baits you're going to look for that one fish? And I will say, don't buy one of these baits and thinking you're going to go out and catch, throughout the day 2 and 3 pound fish and get that big one at the end of the day. You're not going to get a lot of bites on these baits. You're going to get the bite that you want, and that's the picture that you're going to be hanging on the wall. And when you're as old as I am, talking to your grandkids, you say, I caught this bait or this fish back in '72.
Remember it like it was yesterday.
I haven't got another bite on it, but I got one big fish on it.
I think we all have that story somewhere, and from all of us here, whether it be a new fisherman or somebody who's been fishing their whole life, we all have that story.
And I guarantee you, you go out and buy this bait, you'll probably throw it on, 2 things that will happen. You'll throw it on a rod and a line combination where you're going to part ways. You're going to get the biggest fish of your life, and you're going to lose that bait, and you're going to go back and buy these and never get another bite on it again. Or first time out, you're going to get your double digit, and you're going to think it's every time. You don't get a lot of bites on these big baits, but when you do, and all you need is one a year, have that thing come up, and it's not like a swoosh, or they say toilet bowl. This is like a beaver tail. When they come up and take these things, it's addicting. So what do you got for that? What can I go out there and catch my biggest fish of my life on?
Well, so we got a couple things here. Me personally, as we're moving into that fall, I talk about wake baits a lot right there. What we have here is Toxic Baits, the Wade Hog. We have the ABS version, and we have the resin version that Caesar makes himself, hand carved, handcrafted. Both weigh exactly the same. This one will run you about 80 bucks. This will run you about 130 bucks. I am an OG guy. This is one of my favorite lures to be thrown around right now. Again, that's Caesar's Toxic Baits, the Wade Hog. I've got quite a few here in the store right now. Awesome bait. You will catch those 2, 3, 4 pounders on this. They'll come up and sniff it. A lot of guys fish this a little bit different. You can crank it, you can wake it. Me personally, I like a slow 6.51 reel, 6.31. I throw it on an 8-foot rod or 7.6 rod, Caesar's Toxic Swim, and I like to get this thing to wake, and I like to just get it to knock. And that tail will be barely sticking out of there, and it's just, that's all you hear, is that hard knock right there. And you'll just get that light little swirl, and then you just set back, and it'll be a fish on there.
And $100 bait, what line are you running on this?
So I'm running that 25-pound Seagar Abrazex on this right here. That Abrazex I really like. I'll go back and forth between 20 to 25, whatever I have left over at the end of the season. If I haven't enough of the 25, I'll put it on there and usually throw it on there. The ABS version, same thing. They're very much the same weight-wise, everything action-wise, just a little different in the noise, if you hear the noise. More of a harder knock like a wood, more of a rattle like that ABS does. And I think that does make a big difference right there. I do like the way that this makes this noise. The ABS a little bit more buoyant. This guy not so much as buoyant. Again, I like to get it to wake. It's not so much throwing a wake like a wakeboard bait where you see the waves coming off, but this guy's underneath and this tail is just barely out of the water like that. That's how I like to fish it. And again, I like this bluegill pattern. That bigger girl at the end of the day, she's hungry. She's been trying to eat all day. She will eat that guy if she can catch him.
And this is the time when the females, after their post-spawn, it takes them a while to get back to feeding, but when they start feeding, they're not looking for a 6-inch worm most of the time. They're looking to bulk up, and these are the 7s, 8s, 9s. We're catching a few of them now, and they got these little guts. In about a month, that same fish is going to have a big gut, and they don't get the big guts from eating these. They get them from eating these. And I'll say one other thing, Rob. I have dedicated swim bait rods, but I really prefer fishing those on a straight braid, 65-pound braid.
Yeah.
But with that being said, you have to watch it. The rod that you use with monofilament line that has stretch can be a little faster rod with a little more power. When I'm using straight braid, I'm using more parabolic rod. And for some of you guys that don't want to go out and buy a dedicated rod or something, if you have, I'll say an A-rig rod,
Yep.
something like that, straight braid, you can use that, but just make sure that you're not going to overpower that bait, because you can snap 65-pound braid, and it's not fun when you have a bait like this on, because there's some vicious curse words that I've had to.
People get hurt when that happens.
Yeah,
usually.
yeah. So just think about that. You know, you can adjust the rods a little bit and lines, but think about setting the hook, think about fighting the fish, making sure whatever rod you have, if you have a very fast rod like you're talking about, you're going to get away with not having as much of that parabolic bend because you've got stretch in the line. So when that big fish comes up, and I'm hoping the size of fish, you know how they can't come all the way up and get out of the water like these. They come up halfway and say, yeah, I ain't getting out anymore, but I'm going to do this. And they shake that bait around. You need something to take that shock out of it. It's going to be really interesting in the next couple months. We're seeing big fish come in. We talked about our buddy Ho, 6 fish on the Delta over 10 pounds this year. We're starting to see some double digits come in, and the bigger fish are going to start rolling around. Don't expect to get a 5-fish limit of 10 pounders, but they're going to start floating in. So it's going to be really interesting late summer, and I think the river is in great condition. Usually by this time of the year, water's 80 degrees. Once that water, 80 degrees, no big deal. 82, 83, these fish get lethargic. It's 75, 76. This is
It's
perfect.
setting up nice.
Yeah,
they're shallow,
it's
they're
setting
deep.
up. That's right.
They're everywhere, you know.
So they're not only going to be hungry, but they're going to be in the water conditions that they're ready to fight and eat. So man, I can't wait, and I don't know what to say. I just can't wait.
Hey, let's go fishing.
How about if we eat before we go fishing?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rob.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for all of the information, and we'll see you guys on the river. Thanks for watching.